Alright guys, I just want to talk about e-collars or shock collars. I kind of got mixed emotions about them. I personally don't think you need one. You don't have to have one to train a dog. And I feel if you can't train your dog without a shock collar, then you can't train your dog with a shock collar. A shock collar does help. I've used it. It does make things a little easier, but you don't have to have it to correct your dog. You just got to kind of get creative and find different ways that'll work for him, whether it be the whistle. For me though, I would recommend using maybe a dog whistle if you're going to use it for like a correction, like no, he's not supposed to do that. I would blow the dog whistle. For training and I want him to listen as we're doing blind retrieves, I would just use a regular, just a regular whistle, dog whistle for blind retrieves, not that real high pitched, humans can't hear it kind of whistle. So I kind of differ the two, use the dog whistle as the shock collar. So if the dog's doing something that's not supposed to do, you blow that dog whistle to get his attention, and then you correct it with verbal commands. And then if you're going to do blind retrieving, switch over to another whistle, something sounds different, so he can differ between the two. One's bad, one's okay. I need to follow instructions. So I kind of got mixed emotions about the shock collar. You can really ruin a dog if you don't really know what you're doing with the shock collar. Like I said, I'm not a professional. I was using a shock collar on Apollo here last year doing blind retrieves, and he was doing real good. And I was trying to force him over, so I'd tell him over and then give him a nick, just a light bump, just to give him that little extra push, and it wasn't working. I had to go back a couple steps. It just screwed him all up. He didn't like it. Before I put the shock collar on him, he was doing good. I should have just left it off. That's my mistake. So I feel if you're going to train a dog, to personally just train it without the shock collar. If you're new at training dogs and never trained dogs, if you're training them for hunting, if you're training them for obedience, your dog in the house, you don't want your dog on the couch, or you want your dog to listen to you in the yard. Example, a lot of people make a mistake, and I was one of them. I found out the hard way. When you first get your shock collar, don't use it right away. Put the collar on the dog, let the dog wear it. Let him get comfortable with having that collar on there. Give it 3 or 4 days, 5 days a week. Just let him wear that collar around without it being on. Number 2, when you got your transmitter, the remote, and your dog's in the yard and you want your dog to come in, keep a calm voice, holler for your dog calmly. Mine's Apollo, I'm going to use that for example. So Apollo's in the yard. I say, come on boy, let's go in. Come on Apollo. If he don't respond, he just ignores me. Don't raise your voice. Don't point it at him. Just keep it down. Just give him a little bump, get his attention, say, all right, come on boy. He doesn't realize that's coming from you at this point. So that's good. So now he's going to come to you because he's thinking it's safe. You're secure. So 1, put the collar on, let the dog get used to it. Number 2, if you're going to use it and you want your dog to come to you, don't point it at them. You don't want them to think that it's coming from you. You don't want them to think that when they get to you, it's going to get worse. You want them to think that you're going to protect them. So if they're out somewhere and you want them to come back, you bump them lightly, and then you might have to turn it up a little bit depending on the dog. And then, once the dog realizes something's over here and it's not right, then you just holler for him, let go of the button, holler for him. Number 3, make sure that collar's on there kind of snug. You don't want it to be choking them, but you definitely want it tight. And then that way when you hit the button, it responds immediately. There's no delays. The dog's bouncing around, and all of a sudden, boom, he gets hit. You've already turned it up to 10 because it wasn't working. So start out low. Your dog, it don't have to yipe for it to work. You can see his head move a little bit or his ears twitch. Sometimes that's not enough. My male dog here, he can handle more pressure, so I got to turn it up to really get his attention. But so far, most of the training I've done with him is without a shock collar. Later this year, we'll have to work on some corrections, but they'll be in videos. So that's my opinion on shock collars. You don't have to have it, and I think definitely if you can't train your dog without one, you can't train your dog with one. Just my opinion. All right.